that you can print off, or is it one you just do online?
That's the one you do online.
Petition. Okay. So we are looking into that as an option as far as doing a petition to get that specific action, some movement on that. So I guess stay tuned for details on that also. Yes?
A question regarding that. Is there any interest from the coalition at all in concurrent with that meeting with the commissioners, asking them or petitioning them to declare Douglas County a constitutional safe zone, like other counties in the nation have done, where they will actually uphold individual rights?
I know they're like a second, what do they call it? A Second Amendment sanctuary county. And they've said they have their resolution that they've drafted that says they're not enforcing the mandates, but that is a specific question that could be asked at that meeting, yes.
And there are templates for that. I mean, there are other counties that have successfully.
Yeah, put it on the channel so we can get it and a copy of it, and then we can have it prepared if we get that meeting. I don't know, so to meet with all three commissioners, it would have to be in the public portion of their regular board meeting. Otherwise, that you can only meet with them one at a time, like we did with Commissioner Freeman before because of quorum rules. So anyway, stay tuned for the information on that meeting. Oh, do we have a slide from, there we go. That was one of the next things. Remember, please make sure, if you're not doing Telegram, or even if, like today, social media platforms went down, that is a number for the coalition not to be necessarily played around with. But I mean, if there's something that does go down, or if there's a situation that arises with people who are getting to the point now where they're being told they're losing their jobs, and if they need to dial that phone number and people from the coalition shows up, that's what that phone number is for. Or potentially if things all go down, and that's another way to communicate, I guess. Also that email. So if you don't have that written down somewhere, go ahead and take that down so you have that. Also, yes? No, he's just going to be there in person. We would have to work that out probably between Jeff and Garden Valley Church, but yeah, we can look into that. Put that on your list of things to do, Jeff. On the Telegram, first of all, it's super, super convoluted. We know that. And I tried to explain before, we have a group of people who are like, it's too much, they can't, and they're bailing out of it because they can't keep up with the constant posts. And then there's people who are wanting to post everything because they're just coming across it and they're mind blown, like we've all been mind blown for, different stages. We created the subgroups to try to direct a lot of that traffic, so our main channel could be mostly open to the local specific action. If your information or your post gets copied over to one of those subgroups, please don't be upset and decide that you're going to leave the group because you feel like you're not being heard. We are just trying to make everything work for everybody until we get a better platform or method to basically network. We really need to all be together in this and be on the same united front and side. There's also a way to organize your files on Telegram to make it a little easier to look at. And I wish I could tell you right now how to do it, but if you don't know, check with the Telegram person who knows a lot about it. We'll try to find the directions and post it on our channel. But I will tell you that, like, somebody showed me after the PMA, and you get your files sorted out, and now I just have my DC Coalition file at the top, and I go straight to that, and it shows me all of the DC subgroups in there and where the new notifications are, and it makes it a lot easier to follow. Sheila, did we get any more information on the nurses Zoom meeting? Okay. There's potentially a Zoom meeting coming up that hopefully some of our coalition people would be interested in getting into and commenting on with some public commentary. That there's, I don't know if any of you are aware, but it sounds like, oh, it's on the 14th? And this is the meeting that has to do with revoking license?
I don't know, I wouldn't say revoking. It's talking about disciplinary action for nurses that are uncompliant with the mandate.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to talk about that. It's not going to settle.
My understanding is
So really important when we get this information for the Zoom meeting, because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I know a lot about a lot of things, but I don't know anything about nursing or taking care of my family if something goes wrong. So we need our nurses really bad, and our, healthcare professionals. So when we get that Zoom meeting information, please figure out how to log on to Zoom so you can get your public commentary on to that. Also, on that note, at some point we have here soon. Oh, you can? The 13th. So one of you can send us or post on our main channel that information so we can make sure as an action item that we put it out for people to either submit written or go ahead and do oral testimony for that. That's it for our announcements, I guess. So our main things on our agenda tonight that we're going to work on is some of you may or may not have heard about our Winston-Dillard School Board recall. Jasmine is here and Amber, and they'll be able to give you more information in the back, but I am sure most of you are aware Winston School Board started out as one of the very few and then only school board who was going to stand up and have to try to retain local control on these mandates, and then they got a pushback from the superintendent, and they worked on pushing through to the resolution, which then basically got, again, tossed to the side. So fast forward to, in my opinion, ultimately it was going to come down to recalling 2 members. It was going to either be potentially Jasmine and Aaron, who are fighting for local control, or 2 of the other members. So this isn't a recall because so-and-so has personal feelings against somebody else. This is because we need people who are willing to stand up to our governor and these crazy state mandates that they're just unraveling with no one to stop them. And so that's what's behind the recall. They're trying to recall 2 of their board members so that they can move from there. So they have the petition information here and available, and they can answer more of your questions. And they're going to be in the back at that table back there as soon as we're wrapped up here, so you guys can go talk to them. If you're in the Winston-Dillard School District and interested in signing, you can. If you're interested in taking petitions, they have blocks of addresses where they need people to go. They need 640 verified signatures to turn in, and as soon as they get those verified, then that triggers the next step, which would be putting it on a ballot. So let's move fast on that.
And again, those verified signatures have to be from the Winston-Dillard School District.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
And they decided without telling anybody on the board that they moved our meetings to Zoom, and so Wednesday I'll probably be the only one out there, me and Aaron, but we'll be outside at Winston-Dillard Wednesday in the rain for the school board meeting, so.
How often are their meetings?
How long?
How often?
Oh, once a month.
Seems like they've been almost weekly
Don't you think?
lately. Okay, so we'll try to be mindful to post school board meeting information too for the action items.
Also, if those forms are signed for the Winston-Dillard, if you're anything like the ones that you sign for petitions and things for the Republican Party, make sure that everybody fills them out exactly as it's supposed to be.
Right.
Slash, make sure the address, because if not, it'll get rejected.
Right. I believe that Amber and Jasmine have gotten the training on that, and I think they're going over that with people as they give out the petitions so that we can make sure that those are. And I believe that the goal is not just to get 640, but to go over that 640 so that way they can't come back and say, well, sorry, somebody missed a dash, so it's no good.
There's actually people in Salem helping with this. It's caught the attention of some senators, not just Alice. There's several other senators who have went, they're helping hands behind the scenes in this, and they're really wanting this to be the first ones in the state that they can.
Right, because here's the thing, if we can get Winston-Dillard to go and get that local control, then that's just going to empower more school boards to have the courage to do the
Right.
same thing. So it's so important to get, and just like imagine if Winston-Dillard, Douglas County is the first school to do it, and then we can just go to district to district to district and get it done. So please, if you have any interest, even if you're not in the Winston School District, but you'd like to help, see them about getting those petitions that you can get out.
And Jasmine, I know that I appreciate hearing that we have senators, we have people in Salem interested and involved. I hope that the rest of us don't think that means we don't have to do anything. I think that the most practical thing that one person, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people could do is just say, I'm willing to go door to door and knock on doors. That's how it's going to happen.
These senators have lent us they've created these address lists for us, so these are ultra
All we need to do is knock on their doors and ask them to put their signature down, and that needs to be our part. And
Right. And how much is 800 doors to knock on? I mean, if you have enough people that jump in and work on it, you can get that done in 2 weeks, I would guess.
8,000 voters in Prince.
There you go, 8,000. Surely 1,000 of them would be.
How soon can we go door to door?
I think they've already started. Anytime. Anytime. You guys can start tomorrow.
We have the list.
Yeah. Do you know how many you've gotten so far?
I think we have about 100 so far, which
Okay.
they said to have 40 in the first week they were happy, and we have 100. So
Okay, great. Let's get this knocked out, guys. We can get this done in the next week. I mean, if enough people are willing to go.
Uh-huh.
Door to door?
I have the list here with me, and we can do that if anybody wants to for sure.
Yeah. How about if, those who want to go door to door see Jasmine?
Jasmine, would you walk up there to make yourself
Yeah.
visible so everybody can over there can see who you are?
I'm Jasmine. Nice to meet everybody. I'm on the Winston-Dillard School Board. You can come see me if you want to help.
Yay.
So Jasmine will be, and Amber will be back there. Amber's also working on this recall effort. It's a big effort, but it can definitely be done. I mean, I know that our communities can come together when things are important, and what's more important right now than our kids and our schools? So the affidavits, what we were doing when you guys were coming in the door and it was kind of bottlenecked over there, there is a writ of mandamus that has been filed. 2 of them have been filed.
You're welcome.
2 of them have been filed in the state of Oregon so far, and one of our own coalition people have been trying to work on her own writ of mandamus. Not an attorney, she's just a regular Joe like anybody here. She's gone through the Oregon Constitution, and she's applied it to this writ. You don't all have to do a writ, though, is the good news. What we need to go with these writ of okay, so let me back up. This writ of mandamus has been filed against governors in at least 35 other states right now. Potentially more and more happening all of the time. And so what that does is that's a majority of the states, right? So essentially, and hopefully, that pushes it up, the first one filed in Ohio, up front to this Supreme Court. So what we do now, in an effort to support that, is we can do affidavits. And what this writ of mandamus is specifically about is, what do they call it, the health? It's how you've been affected basically since COVID. You weren't allowed into a store if you didn't have a mask on. You couldn't go into church if you didn't have a mask on, or if your church closed down because of COVID. Or you couldn't go into your kids' sporting events. If you were impacted any way since COVID started due to any of these mandates, and I think most of us here have, in some way, shape, or form, then you can apply to that. So this affidavit is the template that's already prepared. There's 2 of them. 2 people have filed. So our hope is, and we got to get them in stat. There's like a short period window of time to get these affidavits sent in, and they have to be notarized. The template's there. You just have to simply change your name from put your name in a few places, a name and address at the bottom, and then item number 4, and you can add more for 5, 6, or however many you want. But at least number 4, you have to put your own personal experience in. In the early spring of 2021, I was, Oh, we have examples up there. Anyways,
I want to hear yours. Come on.
I'm trying to remember now because I just did them super fast. I think one of mine was that I couldn't attend church in person, or our church for a while did we can only have so many people in the church, so if you're not here 45 minutes early in the cold and the rain, and you don't get in under this number, I mean, I didn't type all that out, but basically I said I wasn't, able to come into in-person church, couldn't attend my kids' sporting events without a mask on, couldn't work at the school without a mask and now a vaccine as an IA, as a substitute IA, or even volunteer at my kids' school or go into my kids' school. So those are some examples. We have more examples up there. It seems kind of lengthy. There's 2. Again, we're going to have people back there helping. Just your name in a few places, name and address, and a couple short sentences for what your experience has been. And I don't even care if it's the same experience as somebody else, so you copy it. That's fine. But as long as it's true to you, because it is still a legal document. We have 2 notaries over here that have very graciously come to help out with this project. And then we will do the rest. We will get them mailed super fast up to Matthew and Tina, who have filed these original writ of mandamuses. We don't expect really anything to happen at the local state level, but the hope is, again, it's getting kicked up to the Supreme Court.
You might want to think about when you guys are writing that,
Right.
Yeah.
Who couldn't come in and get their nails hair done because our governor said it
Right.
wasn't essential.
Right. My appointment was, I mean, not
Right.
mine specifically, but that's an example. My appointment was canceled
That's right.
or
Happened to me.
postponed because of, COVID and locking everything down. If you're really not sure, just grab somebody and start spitballing some ideas through until you remember, oh yeah, that's right, I couldn't do this. So that is what the affidavits are for. Again, if you use something similar to somebody else's, that's fine as long as it applies to you. So there's a few laptops, there's 2 affidavits open on each one. Get your information filled out, we'll get them printed, we'll get them notarized, then they'll get left here. So is everybody clear, mostly, on that item?
If you jump on one of the laptops and press print, they all should print real close to you, except for one of the laptops. If you don't see any of those printing, it's because the printer's hiding in a room back here. So, all right?
We're all just doing the best we can. My
Yeah.
printer is almost out of ink because I totally forgot. I thought I had ink as color.
So I'm just wondering what's the next step after you do this?
So like I said, the 2 original writs have been filed, and then if another writ is filed, we can do more affidavits for that one. And then, like I said, it's probably just going to sit around on whose desk? The AG's or somebody's? The AG's. But the fact that over 35 states, hopefully that propels it to the Supreme Court, and there's a sense of urgency because it's been happening in so many states, and then they start to look at them individually, and then they see the support of these affidavits behind them. Hopefully, it says, you know what? Okay, this governor did not have the authority to enforce these mandates the way they did, and puts essentially a stop to it. The mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, those things. I mean, it's something, right? It's something we can all do, and fortunately for us tonight, it doesn't cost a notary charge. We'll take care of the shipping to get it mailed up. So the template's there. It's a shot at something. Yep. Yes?
I can provide the link. The link has been provided, but if you come see me, I can get the link to you. Number 4, and then if you add like 5, 6, 7, whatever, they cannot be handwritten. That was just asked. They have to be typed on there. So if you come see me, I'll get you a link, but they have to be filled out and notarized within the next.
I think they're supposed to be in hand, I thought, on Friday, maybe sooner than Friday.
It's by Friday, like at the latest.
So,
One is in by Wednesday.
so potentially there is a route to get them printed, notarized, scanned, and then emailed. We have the 2 email addresses that the people it goes back to. So that's information that you can get from Sheila. Yes?
Just a clerical question. When you get, before you start listing,
Uh-huh.
things how you have been impacted. Those need to be, like I couldn't enter a store because I didn't have a mask. My dentist wouldn't see me unless they submitted to a test and had a mask. So do those have to be separate items?
That would be 4, and then 5, and then 6. Yes, each experience. Well, I mean, if it was like a couple of sentences to the same event, I was trying to get groceries and checked out, and they denied me service without, because I had no mask. If that's 2 sentences. But if it's different events or experiences, different dates, different, places. If you have dates, that's, as much detail as possible. I just couldn't remember. I just said throughout the year 2020 and 2021, I could not go to my child's school unless, I was forced to wear a mask or attend their events. Ours is. But again, it's been filed by people just like all of us are doing it in 35 plus states.
So one of the things that I wrote in mine, I'm gonna redo mine because mine is all a big paragraph.
Okay.
But, I can't fly. So how because you have to wear a mask.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And if you go to Hawaii, you have to submit your COVID test.
And quarantine and all of that stuff. Yes, absolutely. See, there's more things. Once you get to thinking about it, there's more things how we're all impacted or affected by this. So we should all have something that we should be able to put in the affidavit.
Do you want me to send you the PDF or a JPEG?
Right. Could not see your loved one. Yep. Yeah.
Which one?
Or even hold memorials because it would be more than so many people in a place at the same time. So all of those things. Okay. And then, so again, if you have more specific questions, there's going to be a few people back there helping out with that process as soon as we're done. Another thing that we want to do right away is we have our No Local News Review and Roseburg Tracker and a few other sources, KPIC, some of those guys putting their stories out. I don't know about you guys, but I think they're crap. They're crap. What was it the other day? There's 8 deaths in Douglas County today, except for if you read through, one of them was a death certificate from May, a death from May, but they were counting it as a death on that Tuesday as one of 8 because that was when they received all the death certificates. So that's, anyways, we need to start getting some of our local stories out to the people in our community. So we're going to take advantage of these, as long as they're up, crappy social media platforms. We would like to make our own little videos with local stories of our own friends, neighbors, and community people to put out in our community. So we're going to have, starting tonight, available Clay and Olga. I think, Clay, which room did you decide?
You're just going to do it over at the blue
Okay,
backdrop right
over in the blue backdrop. This is our amazing, fearless, not a leader, but a leader, Olga.
Hi, Olga.
And then Clay back there in the chair. They're going to be back here and available to take people's information, but actually in a story form. Testimonial, you want to call it a commercial, whatever you want to call it. But basically, where did my... Stories can basically range from if you're a teacher or you're a nurse or a healthcare professional and you are losing your job or you were forced to turn in an exception or an exemption or whatever you want to call it, or you're a teacher or you're a nursing student and you're pregnant and you don't want to get a vaccination that's experimental and you're being forced out of your school, you're being impacted detrimentally. So if you're interested in sharing your story about that, we would love to be able to put that out.
Abby, can I add something?
Yes.
So the idea came because it's one thing when we see something nationally or globally, right, Project Veritas, but when you are watching somebody who you went to school with or lived next door to you, you know, it takes on a whole new meaning. So that's why we want to collect local stories. It for sure won't hurt. Now, if you have a story but you don't want to be shown, we have the ability to
Make it anonymous.
change your voice, change your appearance. So you can be a
Do you
hot
have the
blonde
ability if
on the
we're
video.
doing it here? We can do that if we're doing it here still?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
still do it post-production. Correct, Clay?
For anybody who wants a little more time or, to be able to show up, we can set up a time. We've got a professional videographer who's willing to help us do this. So that would take a day where we can set up a number of people to meet with them. We can do it on the fly here. I'll be willing to meet with somebody later if you just want to pick a different time and place.
Right, so for anybody who,
Start collecting it as you guys are willing to do it.
yes, so Olga will be with Clay. So again, for anybody who didn't hear, we can do them on the fly here, or if you want to give them your name and contact information, if you'd rather have a little bit more time to think about it and let it digest and what you'd want to say, and set up a time. We'll try to get one day that works for the videographer and everybody else and have everybody kind of float in and out that day.
Yeah, so if you don't want to do it today, but you have the intention to do it, come and talk to us. We'll collect your information so we can get in touch with you. And again, if you're getting fired, if you have a loved one who was killed at the hospital, anything like that, if you have anybody who had was injured by the
If you
vaccine.
were turned away from mercy or denied care, or if you use some preventative supplements and you had COVID and you treated yourself with alternative options and methods, ivermectin or whatever, that's a good story to tell too. So also, if there's anybody in the insider spots at the hospitals or the clinics, and you have any idea of what might be more realistic numbers, like when they say 0 vaccinated people died, but 100 million unvaccinated cases were found because they weren't vaccinated 35 times. If you have information about what those real numbers might be, but again, if you want to be anonymous, for our own local hospital. I mean, a lot of people probably don't think stuff like that happens in our little small towns, our little small hospital, but let me tell you, I thought the same thing about my school district, Glide School District, and it turns out they're as swampy as anybody else. So if you have some information about a clinic that you work at, That would be good information. Oh, vaccine injuries. If you suffered any vaccine injuries or somebody in your family or side effects, that would be something worth telling. The hospital protocols versus the alternative treatment. At one of our meetings with Commissioner Freeman, we heard one of the nurses from Mercy talk about how there was at least 3 very effective treatments that could be used before people were so sick they got to the hospital and then they weren't as effective. Information like that is very imperative for us
Super
to get
important.
out.
I just want to reinforce and just pile on because, you know, the culture, not just the culture, but the battle we're facing, we're kind of in the losing end of the battle because the opposition that we face pretty much holds the keys to all the doors. And a lot of them are media oriented. And if we can just, this is one of the greatest ideas we can think of is to just kind of like a Project Veritas approach.
We are the news.
We are the news. We have to be able to be the news for this area. And if you have any whistleblowing, any kind of information, any kind of testimony, that's what we need to get out there. And we're going to put it on television. We're going to put it on the radio. We're going to let people know.
It's time to
The
tell
truth
our
needs
side.
to be told. Pardon me? So we're doing videos. Clay back there, would you wave your hand back there? Oh, that's open for great discussion. I think we should hang some more of your banners over the freeway overpasses.
So I'm going to get to that in a second. Don't spoiler alert that for me. So
Right.
yeah, we're gonna find the right platform and then float them around that way, and then you can share them all over Facebook, Instagram, I don't know, TikTok, or whatever the kids do. Anyways, and email them to people. And if we can get them on TV, we'll get them on TV on the local stations. And the last one too, of all those different ideas that we mentioned, this is the one that got me the other day when I read all over Facebook on the TV channels the baby that passed away, that they said died from COVID. And I called a family member and I said, what happened? If you don't mind me asking what happened, because, you know, their family members were speaking out themselves. And I was infuriated. I was so mad that here they had contacted the TV station themselves, and it says right in their article, family members of the baby or the child contacted our studio, but we reached back out to Dr. Dannenhofer and the county, and they said their story holds, which was not the real story. And that chapped me. So if there is anybody who has a loved one or family member or a very close friend even who passed away and it was deemed COVID, but you know it was not, that would also be another story important to get out. They're all being completely, what is it? They're getting brainwashed. They're completely getting brainwashed. I mean, I have very close family members that I love that just watch the news and they just believe everything being thrown at them. So this is our own little local, like they said, Project Veritas. So I highly encourage you guys. This is another thing that we can do to take some action. So that is the third major thing that we can act on tonight. We do have some letters.
Not want a mic. While everyone's waiting in line to fill out their affidavits, they could fill out or sign the letters that are up here as templates. Sylvia could say more.
Or before you leave, if you already filled out your affidavit.
Perfect.
So there's multiple things you can do. We're going to wrap this up in just a second. There's multiple end of meeting things we want you to do. One of these is sign this letter.
So Mariah is a student,
Nursing
student, and she could probably tell everybody more of what's going on.
Perfect.
Yeah, so hi, my name's Mariah. I'm a nursing student. I'm also an employee at the ER here at Mercy. So last Wednesday, everybody who was first year and got accepted and sitting in clinicals at the end of our 8-hour day received a letter from our director saying that religious exemptions are not being considered per Mercy. So they're saying even if we've filed one already, or if we intended to file a religious exemption, they're not being accepted or considered as a student. And they also clarified that if you're an employee and you get your religious exemption approved, that does not cover your status as a student. So only medical exemptions or fully vaccinated statuses.
Or you can self-withdraw.
Yes, can continue on to the program, or your other option is to self-withdraw. and do the whole exit survey process. I also reached out because I thought maybe I'll try this medical exemption thing as like a last-ditch effort besides what's happening here. And the last day to withdraw from fall classes was today, without it penalizing your GPA or recouping financial aid. They are not willing to reconsider that date for those in said position. So these letters are going to go towards either the nursing program directors and the UCC president herself, kind of just calling them out, like, where's our voice, where's our advocacy for our nursing students, some of which are second year who only have like 2 terms left before they graduate, and that could be taken away from them. So if you guys could really take a second and look at these letters, it'd be great, really appreciated. Sign them. I don't know, write your own and send them somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
whatever.
don't let it stop there. If, anybody at any time, please write your own letters. And, on top of that, one of our daughters just started the dental assistant program this last week. 20-year-old, got her associate's degree, really excited to start out a career, get her education. On Friday, you got till December 30th to get vaccinated. And so we've got to we're getting hit with everything right now from every direction. And it sounds like we're kind of all over the place here. But we got to start somewhere, and these are the things.
Abby?
I'm a second-year nursing student. Can I just say that last year I was the student of the year? Yeah, I'm in the top 5th percentile. Yeah, thank you. Top 5th percentile. I was elected by my student peers to be a representative. I went through an interview process and I declined it, so they gave it to somebody else. And this year I was chosen to be a first-year peer mentor. I'm 43 years old. I have a 5-year-old son. I chose nursing school, and I knew it would be a sacrifice. I became a mother at 37 years old for the first time. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a promise fulfilled is like a river of living water or a tree of life. I didn't know there was something inside me that was dead and broken. I mean, I knew I was missing something, but when I became a mother through adoption at 37, something came alive in me that and the springs broke forth and new life, and it was amazing. So it was not an easy decision to choose nursing school because it's been hard. Many tears were shed, and many hours spent away from my 5-year-old son, who, he was 2 to 5 in that period of time. I have $24,000 in student debt, but I will never get those 3 years back. And I will not have what I sacrificed for. And it's unconscionable. It's unconscionable. I have rallied, as far as I know, there is a handful, 5 or 6 or 7 second-year students. We are actually meeting tomorrow at my house in a Zoom call. I reached out to Ray Hackey and I told him, and he said he would move our case to the top of the list. So first-year students, if you guys want to be on that letter that Ray Hackey is sending, I would love to be like a point person or something for that. So hopefully we'll be connecting with him soon and we can have everybody's name represented there. He's going to be asking the school to provide an accommodation. Let me just tell you, the school has full facilities. There are schools all across Oregon that have been doing simulated clinicals because of COVID. So they have not been doing in-person clinicals. They have the capacity, they have the ability. Now, I don't want that, but that is an accommodation they could make us, and they were refusing to. And when I asked the staff why they were not doing that, they said, well, we don't have the staff for that. Baloney, they have the staff for it. I could explain it to you, but they have the staff for it. Then she said to me when she realized, oh, well, you're not even going to be allowed on campus without the vaccine. When another second-year student went to the director of the program to reach out, they told her, and this faculty also told me, that if you do not self-withdraw, You will not be allowed to apply to any other nursing program in the state of Oregon. You will be blacklisted. They didn't use that, but that's what they said. You will not be allowed to apply to any other nursing program in the state of Oregon. And you will not be allowed to reapply here. They said in this letter that they wouldn't hold space for us. When I talked to her, she said, well, you can reapply, but you have to self-withdraw. But there are no guarantees and we won't hold space for you. I feel like I could say something else, but that's my story. That's the story of a handful of nursing students. Yikes, you guys. If you want your healthcare providers, that aren't going to try to force you to get a vaccine. I have a friend, she's a young mom, she has a 2-year-old boy, and he is not vaccinated. She took him to the emergency room the other day, sick, blue in the lips. She was concerned about RSV. They, of course, were concerned about COVID. They said, well, we're going to do a viral panel. So she told them that he's completely unvaccinated. That's her choice. She was taken into a room. The doctor came in, told her what a horrible mother she was for not vaccinating her son, that he has a very high mortality rate because of it. And oh, by the way, see this test? It's going in the trash and you can go home. Your son's fine, go home. If you guys want medical freedom, if you want the providers who serve you to not be forced vaccinated or believe in these mandates, then we need to advocate for the students in school. We need to advocate for the people in the profession who are leaving, because they're going to be gone. And in very short order, your only option is going to be healthcare professionals who think you need to get vaccinated and whatever else you might need to have down the road. I think that's it. If there's other nursing students here, like they can reach out to me. I think Ray asked if we could appoint one person in the nursing program to be like a point person. I'm happy to be that. I'm happy to defer that to somebody else, but just to kind of keep all of the phone calls to a minimum to his office from us, because I think he's overwhelmed. That's it. I'm Amanda Todd.
So I think, number one, Amanda probably ought to go give Clay her story. And I think, number two, that should inspire all of you to either sign this letter or type your own. And you guys, it's not going to just be your nursing students, your healthcare professionals, your teachers. Our kids can't go do hunter safety now. I just found out my son's best friend was going through the hunter safety program. They can't do the field day unless they're vaccinated. I mean, it's going to be everywhere. They're going to start mandating it at kids at the school. They're going to cut your Social Security off. It's not that there's any money there, but if you're not vaccinated, they're going to come after you either way. So we have to hit everything. So tonight, you guys have several homework assignments. Sure. It's not on, I don't think.
Amanda would never say this, but I will. So not only was she the student of the year and chosen for all of these leadership positions, they asked her to speak at the orientation for the new upcoming students. It was a 3-day event, and she was the only one in the whole event that got a standing ovation after she spoke. Applause. She was the only one that got a rousing applause. And they are willing to do away with her. Like they don't value. They're not willing to stand up and keep her. And she's, student of the year and all this stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to add that because it's so, we all know how insane it is, but they're letting her walk out the door.
Well, they don't value any of us, I don't think. And we've mentioned before, there's nobody that's coming in. There's nobody coming in to save us. There's nobody going to come in and rectify this problem. You can't wait for 2024. You can't wait for Trump to come back. Again, we've said all of that. You can't count on your commissioners, your sheriff, none of them to fix all this. So it's going to have to be all of us. And again, I'm going to go back to my qualifications. I have a lot of freaking kids, and I run our ranch, and that's it. That's the extent of it. I'm freaking bossy. and super organized normally. So that's my qualification. So if I can do this kind of stuff, every one of us can. So many things we have to do tonight. Also, we want that letter signed. We have Tom, has FX signs, has very coolly, we've all talked about what can we do for Evergreen and Dr. Powell's, right? How we thank them, because they're getting trashed and hammered, especially by this bogus letter now going around. Half the signatures, who knows even if they're even legit, because we know at least 2 of them did not mean to sign their name to be signed on that letter. So we're going to come out and support them. So we have a banner tonight that I would love for as many people here who feels comfortable doing so to sign that banner. I have a couple black markers. Can we sign it with black markers? Yeah? Okay. So I'd love for people to sign. She has the banner right there. We'll get that signed. One of the great things that Amanda mentioned was getting together. We have subgroups. Can we do we have our subgroup list? Yes, Olga?
Paul has an answer to one of the things Amanda raised. So
okay, go
can
ahead.
we give him just a minute?
Hello, my name is Paul Romero, and I have a team of people that have been working on all the laws here in the state of Oregon to know the truth, including actual U.S. Supreme Court rulings in our favor, okay? Now, the first thing you need to all understand is this. When you go to work for somebody, or people that work in that school, for example, they all sign a non-discrimination clause. It's part of their employment contract, okay? Any one of them that's been pushing these mandates has literally violated their contract. If you understand contract law, one small violation, the whole thing's out the window, okay? Yeah. And what that does is that individual that's now broken that contract, that federal and state law, they are not only on the hook for the company they represent. So in other words, you as an employee or as a student can not only sue the school, you can actually now sue the individual, okay? That's how contract law works, okay? So that's the first thing. You guys are way more in the catbird seat than you realize. Now, part of our deal, I work for the VA here at Roseburg, and I just submitted my package today that basically files a claim against the Secretary of the VA for discrimination, as well as violation of my civil rights, all the way to the top, from him and everybody down. In submitting this, I have my duress letters, I have my other letter that details all the laws they're actually breaking, all the state and federal laws. In addition, that goes along, like I said, with a discrimination complaint and a civil rights violation complaint. And it's no different for any one of you. Even ODOT has both of those forms. You can get them online, okay? You go down to HR, hey, I need a copy of the discrimination claim form and a copy of the civil rights violation claim form. Oh, what do you need those for? You'll find out. Get those copies, make copies, get them out to everybody you can. And then the other thing is this. You're going to need some help with those letters. I get it. We set up a thing on my website. You can get a card from me today. It'll give you the website to go to. But on there, the front page, it has a red button that says Lawfare Ammo. This is the ammunition you need to survive this and get through this where you're in charge. What you're fighting, they're losing this 100%. And one of the biggest things we're trying to do is educate the public. I want an educated voter base, period. And the more law you know, granted, I know none of us ever wanted to learn the law, right? You're going to learn it now. But the good news is it's in your favor. And when you read the Lawfare Ammo and you read those letters, especially as a nurse's aide, there's more things that protect you in the course of the work you do from actually getting vaccines on top of everything else. So again, come see me. I'll get you a business card and answer any questions. But don't worry. It's going to be okay. And by the way, Project Veritas just came out with a big, huge expose on Kate Brown tonight. And we have something in court that, with a little luck, come November, we might be able to actually remove a whole bunch of elected officials throughout the entire state of Oregon.
That's great news, but we're not going to just necessarily wait on that to happen. Again, we all got to get stuff going. We all got to do stuff, and this is simple stuff we can all do. And also, everybody's busy. I know. You're all busy. You know how I know? Because I'm busy as crap. I don't know if I mentioned, I have a freaking ton of kids. How many? Like 8. I don't know. They keep coming. And anyways, they're all in different sports. We got 2 football teams. We got 2 volleyball teams. We're in freaking Lakeview to, I don't know, maybe Idaho. Well, not right now. Part of the school's on distant learning because one middle school kid got a COVID positive test. But anyways, they shut down the whole middle school and high school. I'm busy as anybody else. That group will testify to that because I don't usually get my work done. But we gotta make it a priority. I walked out of my daughter's volleyball game to go to my school board meeting. So we gotta start moving stuff around and making this a priority and getting it done. So tonight, before you leave, you're gonna be busy probably for the next half hour. We need this signed. This banner needs to be signed. Thank you. Big appreciation. If you guys have any questions about Tom's story, I'm sure he would be happy to share it, and hopefully he shares it with Clay in the video. Also, we need those nurses' letters signed, or also ask Mariah, or probably even, I don't know where she went, what, Amanda? Amanda, how you can send another letter, or who to send it to. And she also would like people to call. Or call. And maybe could you have her post that information, that contact info, and let's blow their phones up. Let's make them so sick and tired of it. Let's call every freaking day, okay? We can do that. Those are things we can do. It doesn't take a high IQ or complicated technological thing. We have the affidavits that need to be done if you haven't got those done. We have, oh, here's something. My freaking 78-year-old father-in-law in Libby, Montana, old logging mill guy, who gets his heart in a big bind when he watches stuff like Fox News and OAN and all that. He is calling representatives, not just his, but he never before in till the last year of his life. He started calling them. He's writing their phone numbers down and he's calling them. And you know what? I bet not a lot of us are doing that. And that's something, again, all of us can do. You know what? Maybe you think it doesn't mean anything, it does not make any difference. But if we're not calling, what does that say? If we get on Facebook and we say, I hate this representative for just going along with this, but we don't call them, what does that mean? But we have some contact info on a sheet here tonight that's provided for you. Please take this with you on your way out. Make a goal. Call 1 a week. Call 2 a week. Call them every day. I don't care. There's some emails. There's some phone numbers. Contact your reps. If they're not on this list, find them. You can find them on the internet. Some of them are chickens, and they have jot forms that you have to go on and fill out to send them a message. Mr. Merkley is one of them, because I got a message back from him saying why, because of threats and stuff like that. He can't list an email address. Anyways, take one of these, call your reps when you leave, maybe not tonight, tomorrow, call them this week. Sign the letter, do the affidavit, but also, before you have to do all that even, or in the midst of all of that, we have subgroups on our channel. Do we have our subgroup list, Jeff? We have our nursing students, our healthcare students, we have our medical professionals, we have our education staff, we have our business owners, we have our law enforcement officers, we have firefighter EMT, we have emergency preparedness. If you're in one of those subgroups, or if you're not, but you're interested in meeting up with them, some of you are probably here, so let's try to get everybody coordinated to sit down and network with each other, because we need to exchange resources, you know, like how she just reached out to Mariah, the second-year nursing student to the first-year nursing student. Let's get everybody working together on the subgroup. So is that everything that everybody needs to work on? Also, if you want to see Paul to get a card for the website for the lawfare ammo, do that. Anybody?
This last thing, turn around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't forget, next meeting is next Monday, so a week from now at 7 p.m. It will be at the Garden Valley Church. Isn't that what it's called? Garden Valley Christian Assembly? Garden Valley Church. Okay. And it's not just for clinics.
Right.
Any business can be a PMA. PMAs are immune to most state and federal laws. Come and learn about this.
Yes, clothing store.
They don't business school.
Restaurants. So,
So
yes,
come and
highly
yeah.
encouraged to go.
Come, please.
Come. Do all this stuff. Sign the letter, get the affidavits done, sign the banner, meet with your groups, or meet with other people who are just here, and take this home. Oh, also the Winston School District, people in the back, see them also if you can help.